Alright guys, so if you saw the last video, you saw that I picked up this 87 Trans Am GTA, and it's just been sitting in my garage for a couple days since I actually bought it. What I'm going to do is pull it out real quick and give it a quick wash and see what we're dealing with. So let's fire it up and get this thing all cleaned up.
I never want a girl I'm with.
Alright, so the wheels and wheel wells came out really good. I got a mountain of dirt out of here, but if you look under the car, check out how clean that rear valance and everything is. It's just full of dirt. So what I'm going to do is clean all this up really good. I've got little scrub brushes in Simple Green. This is going to be mostly an undercar cleaning and just a wash to kind of see what we're working with, but so far it's looking really solid all through here. It's just amazing how much mud is caked in here. I want to make sure this dries out. So I'll have to hit this a few times, make sure it's really clean and dry, but it's just really, really muddy is the big thing. So I'm going to keep cleaning and I'll show you how well it cleaned up. Alright, so that was a really quick wash, but I got a ton of mud and dirt out of the car. Check all that out. So, the car is well on its way to being much cleaner. The next thing I want to do is actually go into the engine bay and start vacuuming out that mouse nest. We're going to get that all cleaned up and it's not smelling like a rat hotel anymore. So one thing that I'm noticing that I can do that we'll call free maintenance is that the throttle pedal is a little bit sticky. So when you lean on it, it's like it hits a wall and then it breaks through, and sometimes the car just jumps forward. You can't quite ride into it. So there, went pretty good. I'll do one more stop and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. If I go to stop like this and I go to hit the gas, when the engine is cold, it seems to actually just jump forward, like the throttle body's a little bit gummed up. Once things get warmed up, it loosens up and everything seems to be fine. So when it's cold, it takes off like this. You'll start rolling, I'll push on the pedal and nothing will happen until you push a little harder and then it just jumps. You can feel it in the pedal, so to me, it is not a problem with the throttle position sensor. That's what it's telling me. You know, if you were pushing the pedal and you were not to feel that resistance, the pedal would travel and the car would just not move, then it'd be one thing, but this is a physical problem. So I'm gonna bet that this throttle body is all gummed up. So what I'm gonna try to do is clean it up with some carburetor cleaner, Q-tips, and some lint-free towels, and hopefully that, with cleaning up that mouse nest in there, is gonna get this engine bay better than ever. Alright, well the engine is cooling off before I can actually handle this. I'm going to make sure that it's not hot while I'm spraying carburetor cleaner or anything on there like that. What I am going to do is clean out this mouse nest. Now, take a gander. Look down there at all of that. It's mostly isolated to this side of the engine and by the thermostat housings. Wrong. So it's not that big of a deal, and it doesn't appear that they actually ate anything in there, which is good. What I'm going to do, a buddy of mine on the Corvette forums recommended something he did back in the day on the same type of TPI car, is work in tandem with a shop vac and an air hose. I'm going to put on a mask because you don't want to breathe in stuff that mice leave behind in their, all the little droppings and stuff. I'd hate to catch the bubonic plague. When you're doing this type of cleaning, it's not silly to have a little bit of PPE on like that if you want to stay healthy. So what I'm going to do is clean this up as good as I can. I might do a little bit of Simple Green and toothbrush type stuff, but hopefully it's going to take care of all of this mouse nest stuff. After doing a little bit more investigating, I started noticing some more mousy areas. Over here, just had a little bit from our friends. So I'll get this all cleaned up. I'll try and decontaminate a little all-purpose cleaner. Should do pretty good. So I just want to make sure I get the majority of this stuff out because it does have a smell. Now that I'm loosening it, it definitely smells mousy. After doing just that little bit of vacuuming, and look at how clean it came out in there. Looks great. It's just dirty now. So I got everything out from there, and if you look under the car, got quite a debris field from what came out from the engine bay. So I'm making good progress on it right now, and we are one step to having a much less mousy vehicle, which is, by all standards, a cleaner vehicle. So I'm gonna clean this up real quick, and I'll probably actually wire wheel and clean this up and just touch this up with a little bit of fresh paint to keep it from corroding even worse. I'll have to see if I can get a replacement one, but it's gonna be somewhere that moisture sits, so I think on most cars this might be normal if they've ever been anywhere that's not in the desert. But enough about that. I'm gonna keep vacuuming and cleaning, and I'll let you guys know what else I find. It's a good thing I took apart the air filter assembly, because inside here there's some crud up against that mass airflow sensor screen, so it did actually suck in a little bit of debris. Luckily that caught it. There was nothing in here, and the filter looks pretty good. But like always, better safe than sorry. We're gonna make sure everything is top notch before I really go beat on it. Okay, so after a little bit of cleaning with brake cleaner, a toothbrush, and rinsing with water, that's what I ended up with. This is actually in really good shape. I don't see any real rust or anything that's anything I'm going to worry about. You know, obviously there's going to be a little bit of corrosion, but overall, I'm super happy that this is clean and not rotted out. What I'm going to do before I put everything back together is clean the mass airflow sensor. I'll be cleaning the mass airflow sensor really good before I reassemble it. I'm going to grab a new air filter. When I'm all done, hopefully, my goal at this part is to go for much better, maybe not like a direct replacement one, but it's going to look 10 times more presentable. So whether or not I sandblast it or I can wire wheel it clean enough to touch it up with some SEM trim black, I guess I'm not quite sure how it's going to end up yet, but I am going to have a much better engine bay when I'm all done cleaning this thing up. So inside of the throttle body doesn't look too bad, to be completely honest. When you take a look in there, it catches just a little bit, but the carbon buildup isn't any worse than I've seen in other ones. So I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, make sure that this throttle linkage is all cleaned up and not binding. When it was cold, it stuck just a little bit, and that's what I would feel in the pedal. So it's gotta be something in here or inside of there. So I'm gonna use a little bit of mass airflow sensor and carburetor cleaner and get that all cleaned up. Hopefully I can give you guys an idea of how dirty the throttle body really is when you're cleaning it. This is after about 5 seconds. I've cleaned this toothbrush like 10 times. It really breaks up the crud, and it's, what I kind of seem to do, it seems to work best, is just clean it off with a little bit of brake cleaner or, you know, throttle body cleaner or whatever you're comfortable using. See if it can kind of give you a view of what comes off of this thing. Half that black crud is just gone. I mean, it's amazing what a toothbrush will do on these things. So you can get in there and clean it up really good. I'm gonna hit it a couple more times, and then I'll show you guys the throttle body once I'm all done. All right, so check it out. I did this before in the last car, but just to give you guys an idea of what you can accomplish in just a couple of minutes, you get a brand new looking throttle body blades, and more importantly, the mating surfaces. Now, mine appears to be a little bit pitted. On the left-hand side, you'll see a little bit of dark material there. I'll need to get a little bit more aggressive to get it off, but right now, it's 99 times better, and it doesn't stick anymore, more importantly. So, it was probably getting a little gummed up, and that's what I was feeling in the pedal. Alright guys, so there you have it. Get the lower air cleaner assembly all painted up and it's in pretty good shape. There's actually quite a bit of pitting on here from rust, but I did get 90 to 99% of the rust off of this. What I was going for is to have just a clean surface on there because there was a lot of mouse residue around here and some rust starting and whatnot. And I just wanted somewhere better for the air filter to sit and to really clean up that part of the engine bay. Now, the only other couple little things I did is I got some new hardware to replace the mounting bolts for it. These are metric 8 by 1.25 and 20 millimeter long. Regular, I forget what they're called. These are called a flanged hex bolt. So these are pretty much identical to the bolts that are on here. I checked them with a thread pitch gauge. I checked these on a thread pitch gauge at the store, and this is exactly what they are. So if you're wondering for yourself, you can get those. And if you want to replace the nylon inserts that go in here to hold the evap canister down, you can get your Dorman 1/4 inch nylon nuts. Here's a part number for you, 961-351D. I'll throw these nylon nuts in here. They fit a little bit loose, but when you get the screw in there, they actually swell open and tighten up. So I'll put that together and we'll go throw this in the car. Alright, now that I got the air cleaner assembly and the tray and evap canister all together, I'm going to toss in a brand new Wix air filter, which to me doesn't look any different than this one. It's actually in really good shape, but I didn't quite know that at the time, so what I'll probably do is just toss this one in for now, and I'll keep this one as maybe a spare, so down the road I can send it with the car, or I'll already have another one in it. It's a Parts Master, so it's a probably a generic parts store brand, but I do like to run Wix filters on whatever I'm running. But the last thing that I'm going to do before I assemble the top of the air cleaner assembly is actually take off this grating that was added by the previous owner. All that I can do is presume that it was added to keep mice out. This is your generic chicken wire you would get at any hardware store or anything like that, and it was riveted on. So that is not factory. I'd imagine it was just to keep rodents out because it was stored out in the woods. So what I'm going to do is take this off real quick. I'll drill out these 2 rivets and it should come right off. I cleaned up the top of the air filter box in the shop, so I'm going to wipe this down real quick. And what I did notice after looking online for a little while is that apparently the air filter had that little chicken mesh on it that wasn't factory, which was clearly not, but it was also aimed the wrong way. It seems as though from the factory they actually placed it over the charcoal canister, maybe to suck up fumes there, and I guess there'd be cool air around the fender, but mine was actually faced like this. And it doesn't fit. As you can see, it actually hits here. So I'm just going to turn it back to the factory position, or what should be. Looked up a whole bunch of pictures of cars of the era that have this same intake setup, and it appears to have actually been facing that way. So putting it on, it does fit better. I'll screw it down like this, and we're going to be pretty much done. I'm going to wipe down a little bit more stuff, and I'll go over what I did in the last couple days. One last note. Taking off that chicken wire did leave a couple of holes in the plastic, but I did find a couple of plastic darts that you can get at any parts store, and they're the perfect size for these holes. So again, it's not functional, not necessary, but might as well kind of fill the holes in, make it look like something when you're done. Putting a couple of miles on the car, this thing runs awesome, and I think it does drive a little bit smoother than it did when I bought it. So just that little bit of maintenance already has gone a long ways. I got to talking with a couple of my buddies, and we got to wondering which car would be faster. Would it be the Iroc-Z or the GTA? I'm thinking we could do a drag race between the two and just see which one's quicker. Obviously, it's not like a super factory correct comparison to stock cars. The GTA is about as stock as they get. The Iroc-Z has a 350 swapped into it out of like a 74 truck with some sort of cam in it. It's got pretty bad cylinder heads, but I would think it makes a couple hundred horsepower, so it might make the same power as like the factory TPI engine did back in the day. Could be comparable, who knows. One thing's for sure, the car does like to spin the tires. These TPI engines are torquey and they're a lot of fun to wheel around. It is raining today, but even on dry pavement it feels the same. It'll just spin the tires. It's pretty fun. So, all I did so far is a little bit of maintenance. I've got a couple of parts that just showed up in the mail. What I'm going to fix next on the car is the classic non-functioning headlight motors. So the next video is going to be just about that. We're going to get those all dialed in for hopefully way less than buying a couple of rebuilt units. We're going to have a couple of good working flip-up headlights. So I hope you guys liked today's video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see some more content about the GTA or the Iroc or the racing, drop a comment down below. And definitely make sure you hit the subscribe button if you'd like to be notified when more videos are uploaded. So I'll see you guys in the next video.